Hello and welcome back to the Three Hamster Boys podcast. If you're new or unfamiliar with what we do or who we are the Three Hamster Boys. Basically, our father and his two sons. It's weird to say it in a third person way. My name's Alexander. If you're watching on video, to my right is my brother Nick.
Hello.
And to my left is our father, Jeff.
And even in audio, onto your left.
Yeah, even into the audio, you're to the left. If you have surround sound,
I don't even know if it does that.
No, I don't think it does that.
We could make it do that, but I don't know how that would be.
That would be an interesting experience. So yeah, if this is the first time checking out the podcast, thank you. We are kind of new in the podcast realms. We wanted to find a way to spend more time together in like a weird way while also still being creative and doing something interesting. So this is a podcast where we just talk about things and do stuff while we are all, it's kind of like a hobby all in one where we're learning like podcasting, editing, and also some mixology where we'll have different drinks of the day, typically 3 drinks per episode, which means it's very fun.
At least it gets funner as the day goes on.
We enjoy it more.
Yeah, as we go, we may enjoy it a bit much. Today's topic, I think, actually, you know what? Nick, I'll have you introduce the alcohol first, and then we can talk about the topic, because I want to relate the alcohol to the topic.
They were inspired by each other.
Yeah.
I will say. So, hello. Nick. I'm the local mixologist in the town. And today we are drinking something very exciting that I've been looking forward to for a while. We picked this up around Christmas time, a little bit before then.
Yeah.
And this is from a local distillery from the Virginia Distillery Company. And we went to one of their stops.
It's their main shop. It's where they actually do the distilling.
The main distillery.
And we had an incredible experience. We got to try so many.
We loved it.
Oh my gosh. Very tasty.
So this is what's crazy about this is when we started this journey so many other podcasts ago, I was a big whiskey drinker.
Yeah.
Whiskey and scotch drinker. And so as we've done this, we've been exposed to a lot of different alcohols, but we've been exposed to a lot of varieties of whiskeys, rye and stuff like that. And so I don't think you would have appreciated this place as much if we had visited it 3 months ago or 4 months ago.
No, I will say that when you and I visited Ragged Branch a while ago, I don't think I appreciated it as much as I think, as now.
Yeah, the good thing, so Ragged Branch was great. I think they had 4 or 5 different types of whiskey.
Really tasty.
Really good, really well done.
And the episode that we did with it, also really good.
Yeah, because we tried their rye, right?
Yeah.
But we went here, this kind of blew us away, the variety that they had there.
Yes.
It was just remarkable. And they did a bunch of creative things like what they did with this one, which is a limited batch.
So this limited batch is very odd. It is a stout gingerbread single malt. So it basically, how it's described, it's a single malt whiskey that was aged in a gingerbread stout barrel.
Yeah.
So it's sort of infused with that essence over time. We haven't tried it. It's the thing that caught our attention when we walked in. We're like, yeah, that's probably the one we're bringing home.
That one or the coffee one.
There was a coffee one as well,
which is very good.
Yeah,
which I liked a lot.
I mean, but everything we had there was so good, and they had an award-winning whiskey there as well that we had like a flight of.
Yeah,
it was a part of the flight. It was delicious. So good.
Yeah, but
sorry, we got distracted.
No, I love it. This is very exciting, and so we're having, based on the theming of this drink itself, it's more desserty, more comfortable, I would say, sweeter. So we're beginning. We had to sort of scramble to get this a little bit in the prime. We're beginning with a hot toddy. I was looking for a fun little way to have a very aromatic and kind of like warm and comfy sort of neutral drink that I like to begin with.
Yeah.
And I thought a hot toddy would work perfect.
Yeah. So kind of what he said is that we try to get a drink that gives us the real essence of it without a lot of different flavors. Because the only thing in here is lemon, honey, and then the
Hot water.
Hot water.
Yeah.
the
and then
clove, and the cinnamon stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Well,
right.
I will say it is very aromatic.
Very aromatic. Well, it was the whiskey itself was very aromatic.
Yeah, when you open it, you were hit by such a sweetness, and if you smelled it, it was definitely a whiskey, but it had definitely like an additional sort of note at the end of it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Chink.
It's still warm.
It is still warm. I was afraid it wouldn't be. Yeah, I saw you put your lemon in there. Nick's leaving it as
Oh, I knocked the mic.
a lot of ing coming from the crowd here.
So initially, it's a very mild taste.
Yes.
Probably due to the dilution.
Due to the dilution, but you still get the whiskey in the back of your throat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it showcases the flavor of the whiskey enough.
No,
I think it's a bit too diluted.
but I could drink this for a long time.
I agree. You've got this on the side in a hot kettle
Oh
or
my
hot
goodness.
pot,
Yeah.
and you're playing games, just drinking this rather than drinking tea or whatever.
Well, yeah, I think us going to Germany, the hot toddy has really become more of a staple drink that I like a lot more.
Not so much hot toddy, but
Well, yeah,
I've liked hot
I'll tell you,
toddies.
right. Well,
But-
like hot drinks.
yeah,
and-
because I mean, we tasted so many different ones
yeah,
while we were at the Christmas market. So, I mean, I can say that it's not as whiskey forward as I usually like things,
yeah.
That's true.
but it is very tasty.
Yes, it is very tasty and does still kind of hit that comfort drink that we were going for.
Yeah.
I think it's a little lemony, which makes it kind of conflict in my mind a little bit with like, kind of like summer, but also it's like a hot drink where I want it to be like a
You
little
think
winter.
it might have been better with like orange?
Maybe orange may have been a better choice. yeah.
Maybe I don't know. I could play around,
Yeah,
but
I think it's okay.
I mean, wrong.
All right. So kind of with that as the backdrop, our topic for conversation today, typically we do a lot of like top 3 lists where we're going back and forth about our top 3 villains or heroes or whatever. Today I wanted to have more of a conversation in theme of gingerbread because it kind of made me think of making gingerbread houses, and sort of that led me down a rabbit hole of family traditions and what people do, because it's one of my favorite conversation topics to have with people is what does their family do? What is the kind of fun family traditions that they do that makes their sort of gatherings or get-togethers or holidays a little different and special?
So I have a question about that.
Yeah.
So we never made gingerbread houses.
No.
Okay.
We have a streamline of ginger allergies in the house.
Yeah. But you know, we didn't really ever make gingerbread houses together. But you know what we did used to do is judge gingerbread houses.
Yeah, we
There
still
used to-
do.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
still
they-
do. So for we have a bakery, and that bakery sponsors a gingerbread house making contest for a local county.
Yeah.
And so we provide the prizes, and we actually do some voting on it.
do some judging. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, but it is a very, when I think about making gingerbread houses, it might not be something that our family has done a lot because of, like you said, a string of ginger allergies.
Yeah.
But it is like a very comfort and like together activity that makes me think of family traditions.
Again, like we talked about this earlier, is that when I was in high school, both me and my brother worked. And my younger brother also eventually worked, and we could work 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
But on Sunday night, we had to be home for the whole family to eat dinner.
Right.
You know, and for us, it was, you know, we were just going to school, work, and all that, and it just was the one time where we had to all be together.
Yeah. And I think you've kind of kept that tradition as you were starting a family. This is so weird saying this kind of in a third person way.
Like an outside perspective.
Yeah, an outside perspective. But I mean, I think about it, there has always been a push for us to eat dinner together as a family as well. And talking to some of my friends, that is not always the case, or it hasn't always been the norm.
It's not the priority.
Yeah. For some families, it's not the priority, and I'm not saying that's either good or bad. But
No, but we always felt like we joke about it is that your mom and I talked about everything prior to
Yeah.
having children.
Yeah.
in a creepy way, too much.
It's like we ask about this, and both of you have the same exact
same answer.
And so part of what we said is that the last thing we wanted our communication to be was not comfortable.
Yeah.
We didn't want you guys to feel uncomfortable. And so we always said when we got together for dinner, we'd always ask, how was your day? What did you do? Now, we didn't always get great answers, but we still.
I mean, sometimes it feels like an interrogation.
Yeah, I know, I
like you're flipping the dining room light to point at us.
What did you do today?
Yeah.
What did you do? But we always wanted it. We wanted to for you guys to be comfortable with talking to us and talking about what you guys did that day, because we wanted to make sure that you could always talk to us about anything.
Right.
And then, me being dad is I would always crack jokes about it, whatever you were talking about. And so we never let it become kind of a super critical time. It was always just a casual, hey, what'd you guys do? And then that way we could understand kind of what you were doing and how you were feeling about things. And then it allowed us to be able to support you in whatever you were doing. Because I think a lot of times the only thing we did while we talked to you was we reaffirmed what you were doing.
That's true.
So that, like when you were doing that dance thing in third grade.
Yeah.
Oh
God! Sorry, that's a deep cut.
So when you were
That was a
doing
while
that and
ago.
you were talking about it to us, we were very supportive, and you were the only guy that did that.
It's true. I didn't know that until I showed up.
You get down, no for me.
Well, the bad part about that is you hurt your leg, and that was kind of on top of it.
I always hurt my leg.
I don't even remember that part of the story.
Yeah. But anyway, it was always because you at the time you were like, I really want to do this. And we're like, okay, that's fine, that's great. We think it's awesome that you're going to do that.
It's true. I remember being like, dude, this sounds sick.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I was like bought in.
Yeah, and so it was awesome to see you, and of course, you surrounded by 8 girls, you were the only guy there, and you just had so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that we, being able to talk about it and see that, and then being able to go there and support you, I just think that I loved our dinner conversations because it didn't matter where we were, right? So with me and your mom traveling all the time, it may be that we're talking at Ponderosa, the 3 of us at Ponderosa getting a buffet and just talking about how your day was or what you did.
That's true.
Right.
And so I think just that thing of, and like now we try to get together on Saturday nights after we close the bakery. We'll all try to be there together talking.
I was about to say Saturday nights feels like a difficult one for
Yeah,
us
it
to
is.
all make.
Well, I think that both of you are grown adults now, and you have your own lives, and so we try to do whatever we get together whenever we can.
Yeah.
And it's not a requirement that you eat dinner with us, but
Right.
if you do, we're going to turn the light around and
Yeah.
start doing the
Here's our
interrogation.
asking
What
questions.
did you do?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that was one of those. When I grew up, my dad was in the Navy, traveled a lot.
Mm-hmm.
My dad and mom did not always get along together, and so the idea of all 4 of us.
Yeah, I just spilled it
Making a
all
mess.
over my lap. It's fine. It's because the lemon kind of like flopped into it and just kind of spilled.
Diverted.
It's
Yeah.
like the milkshake with the ice cream in the bottom.
Exactly. Yeah. It was one of those moments.
But anyway, so I think that because growing up, that when we started separating out, that we started doing the dinner thing. I think that when we got married, Mom and I were like, we want to make sure that you guys feel comfortable talking about us about anything.
Do you think there are any other kind of family traditions that you did growing up that you've either tried to implement or specifically didn't really want to implement because you didn't feel very connected to?
So growing up, we never went on vacation. We were just it was never there was never enough finances to do it.
Right.
Our first family vacation, and this is crazy, is that I was already in the Navy for a year. My brother had moved out of the house, and I was stationed down in Orlando at this time. We went to Disney World, and it was our first family vacation together. And
so you were 19 at the time?
Yeah, I was 19 at the time. And that was our first family vacation. And what was crazy about it was one day my mom said, I don't feel like going to Disney World. So the three boys and my dad ate around Epcot.
Yeah.
The dream.
So we were like, we're going to get something in every country.
Yeah.
And so that was the first time that we'd ever done a vacation together.
Yeah.
And so when we got married, your mom had always taken a vacation. They always went to the beach. You know.
Well, you know, in Germany, you could just take a train down to the Italian beaches.
Well, yeah, but like since she'd been in America, she always went to Nags Head. They went to they went to Avon every year, or Duck. Went to Duck every year, Duck, North Carolina, and so they always did that every year. Occasionally, the two of them would fly back to Germany to visit family there, but in general, they went to the beach for a week.
Right.
And so that was always the case. So when we got married, you know, and when we first got married, I was a full-time student. I was working part-time. Mom had just started working at a place. And so we had no money.
Right.
And so when she said, okay, we're going to go on vacation, you know, I hear my mother in the back of my head going, you can't afford that. You can't do that. And Mom was like, no, we're going on a vacation.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those things where we always went on vacation. And then when you guys were born, because you were born after 5 years of marriage. Okay.
Congrats.
What can I say?
So it was 5 years, and it was in the 6th year that you were born. And then so when you were 1 year old, we took you to Germany. And then when you
I remember it vividly.
Well, you were like 9 months old anyway. and then when you were 1 and you were 3, we went back to Germany.
Of course.
And then 3 and 5.
Like it was
5
yesterday.
5 and 7. So we were going every other year to Germany. So we would do usually Virginia Beach 1 year, and then we would go to Germany the next year.
Yeah.
And so we were doing vacations every year because it was what we were going to do.
Yeah.
And it wasn't always easy because, like I said, both me and your mother traveled so much for work. But we thought it was important to do that. Now, you probably don't remember very much of all these trips.
No.
But there are things that we did that you really remember, like the Renaissance Fair. You guys remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
The one in Germany. Yeah.
The Renaissance Fair in Germany. You remember?
I remember that mainly because of that one person that yelled at you.
Yeah,
that's the only thing.
I was like half awake.
Yeah.
Or looking half awake.
Yeah.
And the guy turned.
And the guy just like
in like Viking garb
turned and screamed in my face.
Yeah.
I also remember the end when they charged them.
Yeah, where they had a reenactment. You know what I remember from that? I do remember them charging the end, but I remember
the big guy.
Yeah, the one guy fell on top of the other guy, and they were just laughing, and you could see them laughing as they were trying to be dead.
So at the Renaissance Fair, they had a fight scene.
Yeah, fight
reenactment, and these guys were all stuntmen.
Yeah.
They were all professional. You could see in the thing all the moves that they played in.
They had like a playbill.
And then
it's very cool.
And then this one guy was probably 6'8", 6'7",
massive,
a big dude, yeah.
And he fell, and the guy was like 5'10", and so they both were dead, except for the big guy was laying on top of the small guy,
and they were just both laughing.
So it was fantastic. But you guys, you know, things like that is what you remember. You know, we also have pictures so you can kind of remember.
Conjure.
Yeah, and I go, ooh, that was a long time ago.
Or the picture of you two on the motorcycle in the BMW museum. You just know the picture, but
yeah, I was about to say I don't remember a lot about that trip. but we did those pictures, and I'm like, wow, that felt so long ago.
Honestly, one of the most vivid memories. It's funny for like Germany as like a whole for like all those trips is like waking up and you playing Melee.
Oh, playing Melee,
on
yeah.
the GameCube from our cousin's ex-boyfriend.
It was the boyfriend at the time.
Yeah,
It was not the ex.
But currently.
It was the current boyfriend, not the current husband.
Yeah. But yeah, they brought a GameCube and Melee over for us, and I think that was our first kind of like real taste of Smash.
It was like our first introduction to like new console games.
Yeah, that's also true.
Because like other than that, we had the original PlayStation.
Yeah, and we played that Activision orange console that had like a bunch of like the Spider-Man and like math games and stuff on it. Wow.
Anyway,
we're going down memory lane.
But
that's crazy.
I wanna highlight a little bit more on the tradition side as we're really getting into this, because vacations are they're not as much. We're trying to bring them back, but the Germany has influenced a lot of the traditions that we did while growing up, like primarily. I think the biggest one that's like the one that like I got amped up for was it was like the rule is like, oh well, it's Christmas Eve, but it's already Christmas in Germany, so you can open the gifts that you got from Germany because they're opening their German gifts over there.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but in Germany they celebrate the night before.
Yeah, they open presents like the night before.
On Christmas Eve. So we always did the Germany gifts on Christmas Eve for us, and then the American gifts on Christmas Day.
Yeah. So it was, we got a little like sneak preview.
Yeah. A little excitement,
which was very fun as like growing up.
Well, the other thing is that for all of these holiday dinners, our dinners are
a mixture of
German and American, because we always have red cabbage.
Yeah.
We always have canoodle dumplings.
Yeah.
We always have dumplings.
So the German word.
Sorry. Because I grew up with them being canoodles.
Kartoffel?
No. But you know, that was always a part of our dinners, that there was always a Germany part to it.
Yeah.
And then up until, you know, the last 10 years of Oma's life, of Dorothy's life, we always had everyone at our house for Thanksgiving.
It's true.
Yeah.
And so
But everyone hasn't always been a very big number, like comparatively.
Right. But I mean, there was Rita there, so they were always speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
You had Oma and Opa there, which were always speaking German.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those things where it was always a lot of different languages being spoken.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think it has kind of been an interesting time for us to look back and see how things have changed, and how, you know, in the past we used to do certain things like that. That's kind of where I started talking to people, is like asking people about their Thanksgiving, because a lot of times in America it's a very like staple holiday where family comes together.
But it's so unique.
But
it's regional, family based.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, if you have a multi-immigration family, you're always going to get different pieces of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if you came from South America, there's going to be tamales, or there's going to be some sort of dish that's exclusive to that area.
Yeah.
That, you know, because I know some friends of ours that are from Egypt, right? They always have a huge Egyptian spread for their Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But they're from Texas. So they always also had barbecue for their Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Sounds good to me, honestly.
Yeah, I was about to say, sounds good to me.
Yeah, so this was a guy I worked with, John Bashara, and he would always say,
name drop.
Sorry. It was just a guy that I worked with, and he was always like, yeah, we have this and we have this, and I'm like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about, talk about a multicultural family. My brother's wife is Persian.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so at their wedding, they had a lot of Persian food.
Yeah.
You know, and so whenever we go eat,
I remember, I was there.
whenever we eat at their house, there's always Persian food there. That's just fantastic.
Yeah.
And Farsi being spoken as well.
Yeah, Farsi
when,
spoken. So
when
we
we're talking about languages being thrown out there.
And then my other sister-in-law is from Missouri, so she speaks a different language.
Whole other world.
Yeah, what did it say?
So what other traditions do you guys remember growing up? Because I think that because we traveled so much, we really didn't have a lot of like standard traditions.
In terms of traditions, I think it's like oddities. Like we rarely celebrated your guys' birthday.
Yeah,
right.
your guys' we never celebrated your birthday.
It was like, oh, happy birthday. You know, it's like, and that's how you treated it. But since he and I are born
very close, 2 days
so
apart.
Far.
Yeah, it's very close and so far.
2 years, 1 day.
Yeah. I mean, because I loved it because we could have huge parties out in the yard.
Yeah, sure.
We did laser tag quite a few times.
We've gone to laser tag.
I think we did bowling one time.
I'm sure.
We did a lot.
Yeah.
But we just wanted to do different things as we did. We never did axe drawing though.
Yeah, well,
I think
I've never been a place close enough.
At the very least, my friend group was like, oh, it's almost time for Nick's sleepover. You know, and I feel like that was a tradition that was like a sort of like my group thing. It's like, oh, it's getting close to November.
Yeah.
That means it's time to like go like crash at Nick's with like 5 people.
Yeah.
You know, a tradition that I think about that we did in the past that we don't do a lot now is when we were working with Love Inc. And like before Thanksgiving, like making boxes and meals. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of hated it as a kid. Like I was like, we got to do this again.
Yeah.
But like as I got a little bit older, I really started to appreciate that a lot more. And like now I'm like, I want to like be more active and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the same for me and your mom too. Is that we had done so much nonprofit work, and so Christine, my wife's mother, lived with us, and the last few years, dementia was
really bad,
taking a toll on us, and so we really were kind of locked into the house. We just could not leave her alone. We had to focus on her and what we did, and so a lot of the things that we were doing that were outside the house just kind of faded away.
Yeah.
And so like now there's a lot of, like, you know, I started a year after Dorothy passed away. I wanted to start doing this. I did my own stuff on the podcast for a little bit. I wanted to get back into nonprofit work, which is what I'm doing now. And I also want to take a step back from traveling and work and everything because I wanted to get back to really focusing on things that give me fulfillment. Not that work doesn't, but
like that's not the avenue.
You want to be, because eventually I'm going to retire, maybe someday.
Well, you're dreaming big here.
But you know, the hope is that those things that we were doing were important to us 10 years ago, and so they're still important to us now. We'd like to get back to doing it.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that's a great note to end on.
I was about to say, my drink is empty. I'd like another one. And that was traditions that we have done in the past. When we come back, we'll talk about traditions that maybe we're still doing
or we've established now.
Or that we've established. Okay. We'll see you in a second with the new drinks.
Yeah.
And we are back with a much darker alcohol in front of us here. Again, still has the cinnamon stick in it, for those of you who are watching.
I think mine's sunk.
Live. Yeah, yours is gone now.
It's dissolved.
But Nick, what are we drinking?
So this is the Dark Delight. Goes with the name.
Yeah.
So it has our gingerbread stout whiskey in it. It has some Cointreau, and for this lovely color, some stout.
Yeah, it's extra stout.
Guinness.
I was about to say, is this Guinness?
This
okay,
Guinness.
good.
Delicious Guinness. You can smell it from here.
Yeah. I can smell Guinness, but I can also still smell the gingerbread.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This should be just a complimentary drink. Maybe we taste the whiskey in a different facet.
Yeah.
We talked about how the hot toddy was very simple, but it might have been the cloves and cinnamon stick over sort of mingled too much with the spices already.
Sure.
We'll see.
The Guinness should enhance the stout from the aging.
Whoa, the smell is great.
That's such a interesting
Wow.
Okay, this is what I think is happening with this drink.
Tell me.
I think I can't taste Guinness per se.
I taste the Guinness in full force.
I hate to break it to you. It's mostly Guinness.
And I'll tell you what.
Okay,
why I say this.
Tell us what you are tasting.
What I'm tasting is that the Guinness tries to begin with and it ends with the whiskey. So I think that the Guinness is enhancing the stout part of the whiskey, and I love the orange in it.
Mm.
Yeah, I think the Contra is doing so much.
It is for just being a complementary flavor. I think there is a stout taste in the whiskey, and the Guinness is just enhancing the heck out of it.
That's really interesting. I think when I drink it, I taste a little bit of Guinness in the beginning. I taste a very full Cointreau flavor in the middle there, like that orange, and then it ends really with the Guinness for me. And I feel the stout is just kind of, or the gingerbread whiskey is kind of throughout.
The whiskey is like on my tongue.
Yeah.
But like nowhere else, if that makes sense. Like I know the whiskey is there, but it's also like it might be so complimentary once.
I
feel like I'm messing this up.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the Guinness taste is less Guinness and more whiskey taste.
But what I will say is this is delicious. I really like this.
It's really unique as well.
Yes, this is going to be a tough choice.
Yeah, I feel like when you first take a drink, I think my not having any expectations for this, the first sip is a bit of a punch in the face because I feel like there are so many flavors kind of dancing on my tongue.
Well, they're all strong flavors.
Yeah.
But drinking more and more of this, I'm like, oh wait, this is nice. I like this.
The cinnamon is so delicate in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And I also will say, is it just pure alcohol?
Yeah. Yeah, it is just pure alcohol.
It is whiskey,
Another great
Cointreau,
episode.
and Guinness.
Yeah, wow. I mean,
And
even,
yet, so easy to drink.
I was just about to say, that's a lot of alcohol, and yet I could drink a lot of this.
Well, see, so stout is my favorite. I love a dark beer.
You like a dark beer.
So I can drink.
Yeah.
we always joke about when I go to a restaurant and get a dark beer.
Yeah.
I take that first drink and half the pint's gone.
Yeah.
Well, I was about to say, I was looking over at you, and I was looking at Nick's after the first sip, and I was like, did you just have less, or did you just down most of it for that first
Those
sip?
soldiers are not sinking as much as ours.
They were having trouble breathing, so
Yeah,
when they get their heads out of the water,
Made sure they could breathe. Really thinking for them.
Yeah,
For them.
I agree. I think that stout for me is something I take very large gulps of because I love the taste of it. I love the mouthfeel of it.
That's true.
Yeah, I love the coating of it. You guys know Scotch.
Yeah.
And a dark ale. I'm in heaven right there.
Yeah.
And here's the oddity of it. And a champagne. I love champagne.
Yeah.
I love champagne.
But you know what? It's not necessarily that odd because the three things that you've mentioned all have a very unique mouth feel.
Right.
Which is something we don't talk a lot about on this show, but it is like Scotch, you've got kind of like that like burnt kind of peatiness in your mouth. Obviously, we're talking about the dark beer, the kind of feeling of that.
It kind of coats your mouth.
Yeah.
And I love the chocolatey kind of caramel beer.
It's a velvet blanket.
It is a velvet blanket.
And then champagne, you just like the bubbles.
I love the bubbles.
Really so bubbly.
And I do like a very dry champagne. So it's not
Yeah.
only is it bubbly, it's just like parched on your tongue, and you get just the alcohol of it.
It's like you're sizzling.
Yeah. So I mean, all three of them I like because they're not timid in their taste.
Yeah.
Right.
This is why when you guys drink a lot of cider.
Yeah.
Cider to me is just too subtle.
Well, yeah.
I like to eat things with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but
I also just like apple juice and cider. It feels just like
It's
the
just like the
logical next
upgrade.
step. Yeah.
It's adult apple juice.
yeah, that's right.
It's sweet. It's bubbly. It tastes good. It's got some alcohol in it. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
All right, next part.
Yeah, well, so here's what I was thinking. The next part I had kind of logically was we were talking about like past traditions that we used to do, and then this section we would talk more about traditions that we do right now. And the problem is we've kind of hit those already. We've already talked about them.
Well, no, I can
Sort
think.
of, kind of.
Sort of.
I can think of one that we do now,
Yeah.
Okay.
which is the Thanksgiving dinner.
I was about to say, we sort of springboarded into talking about our
Okay.
Thanksgiving dinner, and since COVID, we've switched up our entire identity.
You're right. Okay, that's fair. In the past, like we talked about with Thanksgiving dinner, we would have a bunch of people over, and the food would be very German American, basically, Thanksgiving dinners. But now it has transitioned into something entirely different.
And what is that?
The vegetarian has selected Texas Day Brazil. We've gone to for I think 4 years now.
Which is a Brazilian steakhouse,
Yeah.
and we go on Thanksgiving Day to a
Yes.
Brazilian steakhouse.
And there's a lot of reasons for that.
I was about to say, there's a lot of factors for
So the number one reason is that we own a bakery,
Mhm.
and so up to Thanksgiving, we're working
Swamped.
the weekend before.
Slammed.
We're just doing so much stuff,
All hands.
and so the idea of coming home on Thursday
And baking.
and baking and cooking, cleaning up, and then having to go in the next morning early to open up the bakery
Yeah.
again, we just thought it was overwhelming, and really didn't have any. It was more stress than we really wanted to do. So one year we said, look, why don't we just go out to dinner?
Oh, and I think the other thing is that it's not really the big family anymore.
Right.
We're kind of
flying solo.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say we're isolated, but we are a bit further away from the rest of the family, and
Well, so one sister-in-law moved up to Baltimore.
right,
Yep.
Oma and Opa have passed away.
passed away.
Yeah.
Rita was married to her husband, and now her husband's passed away, but she has a house that's a few miles away. And then our cousin is with his girlfriend and also with Rita. A lot of times Rita and Carlo are going up to Baltimore
They're going their own ways. Like,
with their family. So it really was that. And then my brothers are nowhere close to us.
yeah,
Yeah.
And so it was. We looked around and said, well, if it's just the four of us, let's do something special.
Let's tear up the town.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, and there is a factor here that you both became of age, because now,
21 specifically.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean?
We've
by
been
that?
we've been 18 for a while.
but I mean, when you turned 21, then it allowed us to be even more adventurous at these
Yes,
restaurants
It's true.
to try different cocktails and whatever, which kind of is the precursor to what we're doing now.
Yep. Oh my god, I just hit the mic so
Yeah.
hard. I'm so
I've
sorry.
been doing it a few times.
Yeah.
And so I think that, and it's been, it's funny because this year we're like, well, maybe we should go someplace different. And it was 6 weeks out and no place was available. Everyone was sold out.
Yeah.
Well, also, like, I don't know. I still really love it, if I'm gonna be honest. It's a good excuse to go eat a ton of meat.
It's true. And I think this sort of jumps into a tradition that I've been truly enjoying since I turned 21, where if we go anywhere, we look at the cocktail list, and if there's anything odd or unique, we probably get it. And if
Well-
there's more than one, we get that too.
Well, and what's funny about that is that now we celebrate my birthday, but usually it's
Whoa.
Now we
now? I feel
We're
like
about to.
well, no,
once.
but we the last couple of years.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
The last couple of years for my birthday, we've decided that we're going to go out, and usually it's to try a bunch of cocktails, and Mom drives.
yeah.
Yes, our mother, unfortunately, is on medication that prevents her from drinking a lot.
Yes.
So we have to take the fall and drink for her.
And like when we went to the milk bar, that was fantastic.
Yeah, we went to a cute little bar in town. And they not only do they have very expressive and unique cocktails on their own, you can also just sort of talk to the bartender,
yeah.
and they'll whip up something a little bit like fancy for you.
I loved it because I said I like scotch, I like spicy, and so they had this smoked jalapeno
Yeah.
scotch drink that had something else, and I can't remember.
Is that the one they lit on fire?
Yes,
Yeah.
and it was incredible.
Yeah.
It was absolutely incredible. And, you know, my dad, when we were sitting at the bar with him the first time, he was like, I've waited all these years to be able to drink at the bar with you, and I feel the same way. I mean, I love being able to go to these places and do these kind of cool drinks and whatever with you guys.
Well, you know, the more we talk about it, the more I realize that it is kind of becoming a family tradition to go to a place, order drinks, and then we do this fun little like hokey pokey where
we spin it,
take a little sip and
clockwise.
pass it to the next person.
Which has been nice because we didn't normally celebrate my birthday.
Yeah.
Although, you know, I was saying that, but I was joking with somebody is that we've had parties for my birthdays for the decades, right?
Yeah, the milestones.
Yeah, the
big
40,
ones.
50, and 60, and the 60s coming up next weekend. And so it's kind of that crazy thing where you go, me and your mom don't like celebrating my birthday.
Yeah, we're aware.
We don't like celebrating anything. I mean,
That's
we
true.
never give gifts to each other. We never have, never, you know. And so having these times, I would much rather have these times be family times that we do things together, you know. And I love that tradition of us going out on my birthday and going to a bar and just trying new great cocktails, you know.
Yeah. It was interesting talking to Mom about this idea of talking about family traditions, and she genuinely seemed upset that we didn't really have a lot of like big family traditions. And a part of me is like, oh, you know, like, oh, I feel so bad. Like, I don't want her to feel bad that we don't really have things, but like every family is different, and I feel like our family still does have like weird tics and things that we do, but maybe not necessarily family traditions exactly that we're passing on.
Well, I think if you go to the house in Germany where her brother lives, they are her brother's in his 70s. Okay, his wife is in her 60s. They can you go down the driveway and she'll go, that Christmas tree was when I was 5.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I think that when you think about her mom's family and their traditions, my grandfather came over with nothing but a shirt on his back, right?
No pants.
No pants. Winnie the Pooh.
And so it's hard to have long traditions like that when you're so fresh in this country.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say that about a lot of like American, just in general, versus more of like long-standing European traditions.
But I don't feel like I'm missing something. Is the thing. It's like, you know, I know Mom felt bad, but I was just like, yeah, but like we've done what we've done, and like I've been happy not having, I don't know, weird rules that we have to follow.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, you know, like I don't have like an itinerary for a holiday, right? I'm just like, yeah, we're just gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea that we're creating experiences together. That to me is a tradition that we've always had.
Yeah.
Like when we went to London, we were just like, we're gonna do 3 days and we're gonna walk up 600 steps.
Yeah.
for
Oh my god.
For that tower.
Oh my god.
But because it's there, right? It's that experience.
Yeah.
When we were in Germany, you know, Mom's family was like, what else are you going to do? We're just going to go see 12 Christmas
We're
markets.
going to see a bunch of Christmas markets, and if there's something along the way, we'll check it out too.
Yeah. But I mean,
Mom did not want that.
We could go to an art museum. Yeah, we could.
She got so sick of it, she got the flu.
But I mean, I think our tradition is that whenever we go somewhere, we're looking for that unique and different experience.
Yeah.
You know.
I think it's always trying to cultivate something new.
Yeah.
And I think this is a tradition, and it's sort of witnessing it on camera, you know, all the way going back to this like cocktail or alcohol or just like creating these moments, right?
Yeah.
We are, most of the things that we're talking about is like pre-established stuff, things that we've enjoyed in the past. But all of this is creating and cultivating a brand new perspective while also trying new drinks.
Yeah.
And whatnot. So I think, yeah.
I mean, part of the fun with which you guys don't see with this podcast is us going to these new distilleries or breweries or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, we always have a great time talking to the people behind the bar.
There are really genuinely great people around here that, welcome us, have a grand time.
I just remember Star Hill, and all of a sudden we're talking to 10 people at the bar.
It's true.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
And, oh yeah, I used to work here, but now I do this, and and the lady behind the bar was just fantastic. And then we went to the Virginia Distillery thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were just great all around. Ragged Branch was another one. Those guys were just.
They were very, very chill and talkative and
just hanging out.
I think all of these places, they just cultivate a very welcoming and calm environment. And I hope I feel like that's what we're kind of doing.
We're
like
trying.
We're trying, yeah. Yeah, I mean, but like I said, I think that the tradition we have now is that we are cultivating new experiences.
Yeah.
I think kind of going off of that, you mentioned in the past we were trying to travel a lot. And obviously with Oma, with Dorothy, we weren't really able to travel a lot, we weren't able to go a lot of places, and recently it has been kind of more of a mission for us to spend more time as a family by kind of going back to those original roots of taking more trips and vacations together. So obviously London happened.
That was like our first big trip.
Yeah, I think it was.
It was the first big trip after Dorothy, and it was also really the first big trip since we've owned the bakery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because leaving the bakery is so difficult too.
You can't trust anyone. Well, I mean, it is a situation where it's just like, can we rely on our current employees to run the ship?
Or do we just shut it down?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or do you just close it?
And I think that's what we did in the past.
We did partially, like. There's been times when we would go to the beach with Oma, like the first half of the thing,
Yeah.
Right.
and that was very limited hours. We only took time off not to be gone on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was all that. But the last two trips, the London trip and the Germany trip,
Mm-hmm.
we were gone for 10 or 11 days,
Yep.
which was fantastic.
Yeah.
Didn't seem like enough, but it was fantastic.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it was just right for me.
I was literally sick at the end of the Germany
Yeah,
trip. So.
I got sick during the Germany trip.
So, but I think that being able to do that, having someone reliable to take care of the bakery, and us getting back to where we were. I mean, your mom and I just traveled all the time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's a part of us that's been missing over the last few years.
I do want to say the London trip, and I mention this comedically all the time, was fun to an extent where I'm sitting in like conferences and meetings and you guys are texting me like, "Oh, just saw Phantom of the Opera. It was so good." And I'm like, I hate you. Like I want to get out of here.
I will say this did all stem from I got out of school.
Yep.
I came back here. You were still in school.
Yeah, I was still in school.
You were like, "Hey, I went to Amsterdam."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Man, I want to go to Europe."
We should go to Amsterdam. I loved Amsterdam so much.
But then you were like, "I'm going to Europe," and I was like,
Yeah.
"I can't allow this.
We're
I
not
can't
allowed.
allow this. I'm missing out on him exploring more places." So I was like, "I haven't been to London before. This guy's been to London 2 times,
3 times.
3 times." And I walked up to you and I was like, "All right, we're going.
Yeah,
Let's go."
And London is one of Mom's favorite places.
I love London too.
I thought it was such a blast. And once again, we went into random pubs
Yep.
and we're like, "Oh, what's that? Oh, it's a red strawberry flavor or color?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's drink that."
Yeah, all that.
And London is the place where I fell in love with the Tom Collins cocktail.
Right. Oh, that's right.
I had that for like one of the first times, and I was like, this is like delicious, and like that became my go-to cocktail since then.
But it was great because once again we went to places like Burroughs Market and just tasted whatever we wanted to taste.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we had that stuff on the street that was spiked. Do you remember? What
Oh
that
yeah,
was?
I know what you're saying, but I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember what it was.
Anyway, delicious boozy drinks. I think, but I would be sad to say that if I didn't be like, we should do this, that we wouldn't reignite this sort of trip, you know?
I agree. I mean, I think that your mother was like, you know, we really can't do this. We can't afford this. We can't go. And so I kind of felt like her when we first got married.
I was about to say it's like a flip.
It is a flip because I was like, no, we're going.
Yeah,
we're going because I think me and Nick want to go, so we're going to go. You know, and I definitely missed being able to travel.
Yeah.
And I think just us saying we're going to do that reignited just this great.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, it feels like we've gotten back from Germany, and already you're like, all right, plans for the next trip.
Where are we going next?
Yeah.
And part of it is like, we initially were looking at Gibraltar.
Yeah.
Because I love Gibraltar.
Yeah.
But I love Gibraltar because you could go across the strait and be in Africa.
I mean, Morocco is a place that I want to visit really bad. Anyway.
Yeah, and you can go north into Spain and see a different type of Spain because it's the southern tip of it. It's just fantastic. You're not that far from Portugal.
Yeah.
So I
think travel. Now that we're adult,
Right.
and I don't know, just like more open. I think a thing that we glanced over, but is something that is always apparent, is that you raised us. I think this is a tradition that not everyone follows, is try new food.
Yeah.
And I think we didn't hone in on that. We're trying new drinks. That's great. But that's like a more recent thing.
Yeah.
But a tradition within the Germany trips was you gotta eat what you're given.
And part of this was being... All right, so...
getting put on blast.
Yeah, so the second time we went to Germany with you guys, Alexander was 3, you were 1. So you were just eating baby food.
What?
And, but...
That's the formula.
Nick was, but Alexander was like, I don't like any of this food. Because it looked different. And so when we were there, Mughal, who is my brother-in-law's mother-in-law.
That's a great aunt.
Great aunt or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, she just believes that you should eat more butter. But if you don't eat butter, then she's going to make sure you
everything. She wants you to eat everything.
So she was getting hot dogs out of the freezer and chocolate pudding, and for 10 days, that's what Alexander existed on. Yeah. And so 2 years later, when we went, we said, that is not going to be the case. You have to try one bite of everything. And even if you don't like it, that's great. It's okay to not like it, but you have to taste it. And I think by doing that, you did the one taste, and sometimes you said, that's not really what I like, but other times you're like, man, that's really good.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the times it scarred my brother so bad.
Oh no.
We made a ham and cheese quiche, and we said, look, this is it's a ham and cheese pie. And you were like, I'm not going to eat it. And we said, look, you don't have to eat it all, you just have to taste it. You don't know what it tastes like, it's really good, you need to taste it. And my brother was visiting, and he was single at this time. And Alexander refused to eat it. And we said, look, all you have to do is take a bite, and then you can go.
You are getting put on blast way more than I expected.
And he was arguing that he wasn't.
I knew both of those stories were coming up
in tandem.
I'm not going to eat this. So finally, he tastes it, and he turns to us and goes, "Hey, this is pretty good." And I thought my brother Steve was going to go, "I'm never having children. I'm never going to have children."
I'd like to say I'm much better now.
Yeah, I'll say, whenever we're looking around, obviously we have like our go-to, like, oh, we're going to this place. Oh, okay, I'll have this.
Yeah.
Like I know what to order. But if we're going somewhere like new, we'll like peruse a menu and like really see what it's got. It is very clear in my mind. Right after our London, our layover was in Iceland.
Yep.
And we had food that I probably would not be so brave to try if we didn't have this tradition of trying new things. And I just want to like lay into that because we could have gotten a little more experimental and broke our mom's heart by eating puffin.
Yeah.
But if we didn't have that, we would have walked into that restaurant being like,
hamburgers and hot dogs.
yeah, there's nothing.
What do I eat?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, and even now, like I talk about Saturdays, we usually get some takeout, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm always looking for brand new restaurants.
Yeah.
Like I'll say, okay, this is a new Afghani restaurant. I'm just going to get a bunch of appetizers, a bunch of main dishes, and let's try everything.
Yeah.
I'll try a bunch of different things because I mean, the best part about being in the Navy and traveling around is that I got to sit at a grill in Japan, or I got to be on
Jealous.
or I got to be.
Why isn't that our next trip? Let's have an
That's what I've been saying.
Well, or I was in a pier on Marseille, eating fresh catch on a pizza, or snails in Cannes. You know, didn't like them, but I was in Cannes.
But it's a picturesque moment.
I was in Cannes, looking on the Mediterranean, drinking white wine and eating escargot.
I was about to say, I actually did like escargot when I was in France, which is kind of a weird thing to say. I actually enjoyed that.
I've liked escargot not from France. I've had it here in America, and I've been like, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's not my thing.
Yeah.
I think that's totally. I think it's the same as mussels.
Yeah, it's like it is a very similar texture to mussels.
And I like mussels, but
yeah.
But anyways, so I think that I love that you think that's a tradition because we've always felt like there's so many. We know so many people, Americans, that are just like, I'm gonna go to France and go to McDonald's and get a burger, and it always fascinates me why you would do that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I will tell you one thing I did in the Navy. Me and this one guy, and I was on. We got on the boat at the same time, so we did 3 years on the same submarine. Every time we visited a place, we wanted to get a pizza from that place.
Hey,
that's
not a bad idea.
So it was like a baseline test for everywhere we went.
So who has the best pizza in the world?
This is going to be crazy. The best pizza we had was in Haifa, Israel, at the All-American Pizzeria.
Oh my gosh. That
world?
sounds like it would not be the best pizza.
That would be like the last place I would go to.
And the reason was the homemade crust was almost like a focaccia.
Oh.
It was a beautiful crust. And Haifa is considered the breadbasket of Israel.
Yeah.
So it had all this fresh vegetables on it.
So like the dough is already perfected.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was perfect.
Well, my drink is empty. So is yours. I think it's time for another drink. We'll have some more drinks and some more stories when we get back. Don't go anywhere.
Yep.
Hello. Welcome back. I don't know why I did that like it was the intro to this video. We're on to drink number 3. And I must say, team, I'm feeling it a little bit. But in front of us, we have a very different colored drink. I would like to say props to the mixologist here. We have had 3 very unique looking drinks going in.
They're not all the same color.
They're not all the same color, which is a miracle because sometimes it is just ending up.
It's all yellow.
Yeah, like sometimes they do all kind of look the same. These 3 have looked very unique, and at least the first 2 have had very different tastes.
Yeah. So I know you said that you were feeling it.
I'm feeling it a little.
So
bit, yeah.
I'm glad that we're ending on this. It's really tame. It's only got 3 different alcohols in it.
Perfect.
This is a very classic drink. This is the Mudslide. Usually made with vodka as just sort of a vessel, but we're using the stout whiskey because I think it would pair really well with all that's going on in here. This has Kahlua, so a coffee liqueur in it, as well as Bailey's, the cream liqueur, and then some heavy cream, just to give it that delicious milkshake-looking sort of texture.
And this is unique drink to pick for 2 reasons.
Okay.
2 reasons.
One is because Nick has a bad story with Bailey's Irish Coffee.
I have really bad story with Bailey's and coffee liqueur.
Yeah.
Okay.
Specific.
And then for me, this used to be my go-to drink until one night I was drinking with my brother.
Oh no.
The youngest one.
Oh.
And we ended up. I was drinking a bunch of these mudslides, and we ended with a golden margarita.
What is a golden margarita?
Is it just gold?
Gold tequila.
And
Okay.
Regular margarita stuff.
Okay.
But the problem is that tequila will curdle cream immediately.
Great to know. Great to know. Great to know. Thank you. I'll write that down.
That's great.
And so my stomach was full of mudslide, and then I threw tequila on top of it.
I'm kind of with you.
And then that was a mudslide of its own.
For you, it was sake came down
Oh God.
afterwards.
Yeah, I was drinking Bailey's and a coffee rum a lot, and then I topped it off with Jim Beam green apple, which is already a bad combo. And then we did shots of sake to end the night. Ooh.
That sounds so bad.
It was whatever was around.
Right, you were just like, what's available?
We went through bottles that night.
Yeah.
We finished off the Baileys. We finished off the rum. We finished. We got we finished the sake.
It was a good night.
And the only thing left was the green apple, which every time I go to that guy's house, the bottle is still there, and my stomach turns.
You're like, why is that there?
It's like a mantle.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there to mock me.
So what is in a mudslide? You already went through it, and a little bit of chocolate too.
Oh yeah, so a little bit of a chocolate syrup, but yeah, as stated, it's the whiskey instead of a vodka, which is usually used, Kahlua, which is the coffee liqueur,
right.
Some Baileys, and then some heavy cream just to dilute it and give it a little bit more texture.
I will say, when these drinks were originally made about over an hour ago, the chocolate was more around the sides of it, and it's kind of just sunk to the bottom.
But hopefully it's been absorbed, so we get a little bit of
that
I
chocolate.
hope it cuts a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers.
Yeah, you get the chocolate.
You do.
Yeah, I mean, this is just good. This is just a chocolatey coffee drink.
I think the only thing I'd want, if it was just a little colder.
Yep,
I know it's been sitting out here, but oh my gosh, if it was chilled right then and there, I think it would be
it'd make a great ice cream.
Well, it makes me think. It makes me think of the milkshakes that you made for us a little bit ago.
Yeah, I mean they
With
might
that
make
peanut butter.
Yeah, it's peanut butter Nutella milkshakes.
Oh my god, those might make an appearance on this show.
Yeah.
Those were so good.
One of the few alcohols that we aren't going in blind for.
I felt I was just like, are you good? Ooh.
Yeah, a lot of the time for the show, and I think for our own kind of initial reactions, we like to go in blind for a lot of these. So we'll go to the distillery or the brewery, and we'll drink some of them, but we'll save anything that we think is unique or interesting or something that we'd want to use during the show as we'll buy the bottle without drinking it, and we'll try a flight of something totally different.
And that does catch the bartender.
Yeah, it does.
Because they'll be like, oh, which one did you like most? We're like, oh, this one. And they're like, oh, so what bottle do you want? The one we haven't tried. And they're like, but you haven't tried this. Do you want to try it? And we're like, no, it's perfect.
Don't give it to us. Yeah.
Well, which is crazy because the mead, we tried some other meads that were so good.
I'm letting you know.
I think we made a mistake.
Okay, so the mead, as you could tell from that episode, hit us a different way than we were expecting. It was not ideal. But the other mead that we had there, which wasn't bottled unfortunately, was so delicious.
So
oh my gosh. We had 4 different types, and they were all so unique and delicious.
We tried a coffee one. I had a dreamsicle, like an orange creamsicle.
I had a cherry.
I had a cherry.
You had the cherry.
You had the cherry, and then you had the oh no, what did you have? Yours was really good too, but I can't remember.
Was it?
I can't remember.
I can't remember right now. It was definitely a unique flavor, but I think yours was more closer to a traditional mead. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a
Yeah, it's on the
Listen, you're asking me to remember. Yeah. I'm halfway through a mudslide.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is so good. like you said, you can still taste the chocolate even though it's kind of pulled at the bottom. You definitely get that coffee liqueur in the beginning there. But again, I think we have not really experienced the fullest taste of this whiskey. It has been such a good kind of
it's complemented each drink
a complementary
so
flavor.
I agree. I mean, I think you can taste that there's whiskey in here.
Yes. Yeah, because it's always present on the tongue, no matter what, which I think, I'm sure vodka would have its own thing, but vodka is such a good vessel to just disappear.
I was about to say, it's one of those vessels that's kind of like, I'm here, but like, not really.
But like the whiskey, it just adds like a whole... It's always like an ever-present, like, additional layer that you put in.
And I think that if you were putting like a Jack Daniels in here, you would just get the burning of the whiskey.
Yeah.
I think that whatever this gingerbread stout is adding to the whiskey, it's just making it blend into every
I think it's
flavor.
just enhancing whatever we've got.
Yeah, like I said, when we tasted the Guinness, I was unclear
where the Guinness started, where the gingerbread bread began.
Yeah, because it was such the whiskey smelled so stout.
Yeah.
So much stout.
It's certainly different than what we have been having, because the last more like liquor that we've been having have been the herbal tequila and then the two ghost pepper ones.
The spicy ones, which were so good because it was such a strong flavor within itself that it really complemented, or like the other things were complementary items to the flavor of it.
All three of those items, they sort of shone through everything that I've made. Like when you tasted the tequila, you were like, I can taste the ghost pepper.
I know
it's right there.
Yeah.
Right? It's same with vodka. And then whatever that herbal tequila was, you could always have that like sort of breath of it.
Yeah.
I think this is a change where it's not the forefront the whole time. It just enhances everything that's around it, which, if we're just drinking on the rocks, we could talk about it more. But since I chose things that I just felt would work really well with it, it just ended up fading and just sort of culminating into a one singular drink.
Yeah, I mean, I think it made the drinks more cohesive also.
Yeah. Well, this is great. Hats off to you. I think when we talk about which one's our favorite, it's gonna be tough.
While we're talking, I'm gonna be thinking about which one, because these are really good.
All of the drinks have been really good. So we've talked about past, present. Feel like it's only right to kind of touch a little bit about future.
A little bit of Christmas Carol reference.
A little Christmas Carol reference. And I think we've kind of touched it, but I think we can talk a little bit more about it. Obviously, the hope is that we will continue a tradition of having more trips, more vacations in the future, as long as, money, time permits that.
I think that I love starting this because I think that, and this is going to scare the heck out of you guys, as you get older, you're going to multiply in who is represented by you guys. Whether that means...
That's such a weird way of putting that.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. You're going to become two people, and then you could become three people or four people or whatever.
Can they like mitosis?
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
But
we're splitting?
But so I think that starting this tradition now allows us to start saying, okay, when you guys have families or significant others, it's not going to be a problem to add them onto the crew,
onto the cart.
And so and the joke is that I want to sell the house and get an RV and go travel.
That's true.
Is that a joke? I thought you guys were serious.
I don't know. There was a moment where you were exclusively watching videos on RVs. And I was he's going to do it next week.
I want to do it, but there's a practical side of having an RV that's not always nice. Like,
it's true.
The maintenance of an RV, going to places.
Having your house break down is not ideal.
No.
The breakdown's not the part, but you go into a place, you got to dump water, you got to make sure you got enough water.
Sewage, yeah.
So there's all these pieces with it that is not very glamorous from an RV perspective.
Yeah,
it's true.
But I love the idea.
Yeah.
I love the idea, and
Which I think is always so crazy, and I think it catches mom off guard every time, because you're the same person that's like, just concrete the backyard. We don't need that green stuff out there.
You know we won the lottery when a line of cement trucks are pulling into our road.
Yeah.
Yeah, and which is so crazy because like we've talked about when we talked about our dream places to go to.
Yeah.
It's true. The remote Madagascar
Yeah.
island that cannot be approached by any motor vehicle,
It's only by rowing to
and you're off the grid.
totally off the grid, no electricity and everything.
I kind of get it though.
I think that you just once again it's an experience that
I want to get the chocolate.
I was like, you're trying to pick up the chocolate.
because I've lived in a place on a submarine where there is nothing natural there.
It's
Right.
true. You've lived in like an actual like metal.
You're in a metal box.
So I think that going to a place like that, or the other place is going to Nepal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that those are places that are just.
So I think what I'm gathering is you just want to go to like the extremes of what nature has to offer to really see it.
I mean, if you wouldn't have picked Antarctica,
Yeah.
I would have picked Antarctica.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. It's so cool. Anyway,
this goes back to kind of something a tradition that we haven't really talked about, but we have been doing a little bit more, and I'd like us to continue this, is watching media together. We've kind of made it a big deal to try to sit down and watch, or sit down and eat dinner together, but also we've tried to make it more of a tradition for us to watch a movie or a television show together.
Or anime.
Yeah, we have almost finished Delicious in Dungeon together.
you guys are like at episode 21.
23 or
Oh my
something.
gosh,
Yeah.
you're almost done.
I don't know. Yes, somewhere in the 20s. We're almost done. We're only a couple episodes from finishing.
Well, I mean, not only that, but then like you and your group came up with the top 100 movies.
Is it top 100?
I don't know if it's 100, but yeah, my group is like, oh, you haven't seen this?
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, we've realized that Nick hasn't actually seen a lot of movies.
I've not seen a lot. As someone with a acting and theater degree, it's almost embarrassing because I'm gonna let you know I've not seen any movies. I've seen even less plays.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a fun journey. Like finally being like, okay, what do I need to watch? And talking to all these people, and they're like, oh, you gotta watch this. Oh, you gotta check this out. Oh, you gotta see this. And like on the nights when I'm like, okay, I got a free night. What can I watch with the parents? And they're like, oh, you haven't seen this? Oh,
Yeah.
Here you go. You gotta watch this.
Yeah, and some of them are surprising to me. Like we watched Lady Hawk the other night.
Yeah.
And I mean, I saw that in the 80s. I mean, to me, you see Rutger Hauer, I'm always thinking Blade Runner.
Yeah.
But, and then you see Ferris Bueller in there too, which is about the same time.
Yes.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick.
Okay, I didn't realize you were trying to look for the actor.
The actual, yeah. No, I wasn't like, oh, Ferris Bueller's what?
Yeah. Sorry.
So, I think that we're seeing, like we watched The Sting the other day, which is a movie from the 70s.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And so we've watched, and then we had,
And then hundreds of beavers. Yeah.
Yeah.
and so we've gone back and forth between your film group's list and the Rents list, and
Or we jump around from like movies like Old Boy, which is like a surreal, crazy cinematic
really grim and gritty drama,
to 50 First Dates, an Adam Sandler movie.
which was not one of the parents' favorite movies, but
it was a coworker's
favorite movie. And then we saw Kung Fu
Hustle.
Kung Fu Hustle, yeah.
Again, a crazy movie.
Yeah, I've been enjoying the heck out of this movie journey where everyone's like, oh, you gotta see this, and I'm like, all right, I'll check it out.
I guess so.
And I mean this is like a tradition that I'm beginning where I'm like, I've spent the majority of my teenage years, usually what people use to absorb media or learn hobbies, to just play a bunch of different video games and watch anime.
Watch a ton of anime.
But now, like, sort of backtracking, like, okay, everyone's is like, okay, these are the things to do, and now I'm sort of adding that to my day to day.
But we've been kind of branching into that because you've been trying to show us different anime.
Yeah.
But then we've also gone to Ghibli movies, so there is a movie component that we've started watching also.
Yeah, and we've shown you anime movies that we thought are so important and valued.
Right.
Because we watched Boy and the Beast, which isn't a Ghibli. I think we watched Sword of the Stranger,
yeah.
which is incredible. Like we want to show you the things that we really think are highlights of anime that have really, really spoken to us.
I'd really like to sit down and watch A Silent Voice with y'all, but again, like, it's one of those serious movies.
That's one of those movies where it's like you can't just pick them and watch it.
Yeah, you got to be in the right mindset.
It's a little heavy.
Well, I mean, we've talked about there's movies on your list that we said, great movie, we should watch it. But you're not going to watch Schindler's List unless you're in the right mindset.
Yeah.
You can't just watch a movie like Schindler's List or like The Boy in the Striped Pajamas being like, oh, we're going to have a fun night tonight.
I'm ready to relax.
Yeah.
I mean, we watch that movie, then we finish it with Strange Brew because you have to have that counterpoint.
Yeah, you have to have a cleanser with these kinds of movies and like awakenings, right? Like Mom was like, oh my gosh, I was crying through the whole movie. I'm like, I'm sure it is such an important movie to watch, and I really do want to watch it. But like, I gotta figure out how to like cleanse it afterwards. Like, I gotta like prime like, oh, I need to be watching Shaolin Soccer right after.
Yeah, that's right. I think that it is because there's a lot of movies on there that we said are very consequential, like Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah,
that's such a thing. But you just can't watch that movie and walk away. No, I can't. That movie.
I was about to say we also got to find a night where Mom isn't there because I know she does not want to watch.
She does not like war movies, and it is also. It hurts her heart to watch these movies.
Yeah.
I mean, Saving Private Ryan is, like you said, not an easy watch. Yeah, like it is kind of rough.
Which is so different because like. The one movie I recommended to you was The Longest Day.
It's true. We talked about it previously on this podcast.
And The Longest Day is not as tragic as that movie.
Right.
As Saving Private Ryan. But you go halfway through there and you see Apocalypse Now. Or you see Deer Hunter, which were in the 70s, right after Vietnam. Those movies were that step toward what Saving Private Ryan is.
Yeah.
Those are tough movies to watch.
Yeah, I think I'm integrating slowly to this sort of tradition that going back to the root of this. Excuse me, but I'm taking it off of vibes only, right? If I feel like I could watch something a little more intense, I'll do that. But like, I'll watch something fun or experimental, right? Like, I think I am just enjoying my weird like twists and turns of like what I'm absorbing. I know a lot of people are like, oh, just pick a day, choose a director and watch all their movies from that director. Yeah. And I was like, that's a lot because like there's a point if you're watching Quentin Tarantino, you're like, I'm numb. To everything that's happening.
Yeah, if I see blood, I'm not going to get any feeling from it.
Right, and I think it's the same. Like, but at the same time, if you watch Spielberg's catalog, you're experiencing such a huge range.
Yeah.
Right, and I would say you would also get such an appreciation if you did like a Hitchcock day, right, where you see like the foundation of suspense. But also I'd be afraid that you're like, yeah, I've been suspended,
Yeah. I mean, I think Spielberg's probably the only one that I can think of where there's such diversity in it. Because if you think about E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark, Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan,
yeah, Jaws,
it's just that's such a
Gatsby.
That would be a movie marathon for sure,
right? And I think it would be very interesting. But I do want to do a Bong Joon-ho day,
Okay.
which would go into Memories of Murder, Parasite, and then Mickey 17
I don't know what makes
Oh, is that the new one coming
with
out?
Robert Pattinson.
Oh, yes. Oh, no, of course. It's Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
We love Robert Pattinson.
I love Robert. Ever since The Lighthouse, I love him so much. But I mean, at the same time, you could. I mean, we're sort of going off in just more of a movie appreciation. But like, The Lighthouse has become my absolute favorite movie. That's one of the first serious movies that I watched after getting out of acting school, and I fell in love with it. And Robert Eggers, came out with Nosferatu. And I feel like I need to watch that.
Yeah.
Like desperately, because I fell in love with his original, like that work before that I should just absorb because he's got Willem Dafoe.
I worry that I feel like Nosferatu has hit a very, like, this might be a weird worry, but I worry that Nosferatu has hit a level of like public, like, awareness and like appreciation that The Lighthouse never really hit. That I think that like the weird, wacky kind of like craziness of The Lighthouse will not translate over.
You think it might have been like dissolved a little bit? Or
I
diluted?
think it might be a little diluted.
So I don't think any of us have seen it.
No.
So you're thinking it might be slightly more
populous.
It's more digestible.
Yeah, because I think The Lighthouse is not a movie that many people will go into, or that everyone will go into and be like, "Wow, that was an incredible movie." Like, I think a lot of people will walk into that and be like, "What the heck did I just watch?"
I heard like a mixed review. It's like 4 people went in, and like 2 people thought it was a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And the other 2 people thought it made no sense. It was bad and a waste of time.
Yeah.
And I think I love that.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that's kind of like the fun part about art, of being like, for some people, it's like their favorite thing ever, and for other people, it's like,
so weird.
What is this? Yeah, why did I even spend time on this?
But I mean, the other thing that's going on another tangent is that we love A24. Oh my God. They just take the chances.
A24.
They take the chances, and whether you like it or not, you know you're going to get something unique.
You're gonna see something that you wouldn't see, and I think this goes back to it all. Not to like sound like epiphany or whatnot, but I think our tradition as a whole is just experiencing life from brand new lenses every time.
Yeah,
I think we really appreciate when someone or something offers a new part to experience, whether it's good or bad. I think we are just appreciating the experience to try it.
Yeah, I mean, we joke. I always say, I get a new job I'll do 3 years, but after 3 years, what's next?
Yeah.
And I want to do something new that I know nothing about.
Yeah.
And I think that is probably the biggest hope that I have, is that that's the tradition I get in you, is that you're not afraid to go into that new place. You're not afraid to try that new food, try whatever's new, to go out and do things. I just think the world is large enough where there's always something new to experience.
Yeah. I mean, and that kind of makes me think of a tradition that Nick and I have kind of started here. Not necessarily a family tradition, but last year you and I almost went to a concert every single month of the year.
Yeah.
Which I feel so fortunate that we were able to do that. But it was new venues, old venues, familiar places, unfamiliar places.
One band we know, one band we know nothing about.
Yeah.
And this is something me and my brothers did when we were younger.
Yeah.
Right.
We loved it. We would go,
Yeah.
if there was a band playing, we would go. It used to be 2 places in Charlottesville, 2 small places. You were getting all these small bands.
I feel like that hasn't changed too much, actually.
But you would have 3 bands coming in on a weekend.
Yeah.
And you could go see them, and good or bad, you were seeing live music.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. I think that's how we felt.
Yeah.
Like we intentionally went to these concerts because there was a band or an artist that we were like, oh, we need to see them.
Yeah.
But like, we also were like, oh, who's their opener? Or honestly, who's their headliner? You know, sometimes we're like, oh my god, they're opening? What? You know, like...
That is so true. I love the feeling of going, and sometimes the band that we came to see was not the band that we left talking about.
No.
And I think that's so fun. Not to say that we've seen, like, I've enjoyed every concert that we've been to. I don't think I can say that we went to a truly terrible concert. But I think that there have been times where the headliner has been like someone that we're like, oh yeah, we know them. And then we hear their opener and we're like, oh wait, the opener?
Whoa,
wait a second.
Kind of did a lot.
They're kind of going crazy.
I used to go see a group called The Alarm. They were never the headliner. They were always an opening band.
Yeah.
So with The Alarm, I saw Pat Benatar. With The Alarm, I saw Modern English, which you guys all know. I Melt With You is their song that got popular. But anyways, they were never the headliner.
Yeah.
And when I saw Pat Benatar sucked. But it was because of the audio system.
Yeah. We've had experiences where the venue just didn't fit.
The Alarm was great. It was done in William & Mary. The Alarm were great. I loved them.
Yeah.
It was like the second time I'd seen them in concert. And Pat Benatar was horrible because the audio system was terrible.
I feel like normally when we have like audio issues, it's because the headliner is fine, but the opener
something
because they're adjusting to the headliner setup. Anyways,
I was about to say we're running out of time. My drink is done. Your drinks are finished as well. I really like this episode. I feel like we had a lot of time to just talk and share stories, but now is the time at the end of the episode where we talk about which one of these drinks were our favorite. And I will say, most of the episodes, one or two drinks rise to the top and one kind of ends at the bottom. I think all three of these drinks were really good.
They were really banging, yeah.
So I'm gonna, Nick, you look like you're still thinking.
I'll go first.
Oh, yeah,
all right, perfect, Dad.
I love the Mudslide. It was one of my favorite drinks for many years, but that second one was so banging. I love stout.
The Dark Delight.
The Dark Delight.
Dark Delight.
It was it hit all the right notes for me.
It was delicious, and you know what? I feel like I could have guessed that. You just love your darks.
Yeah.
All right, Nick.
I think I'm gonna also go with the Dark Delight. I think I really loved the new taste of Cointreau plus a stout, plus just the whiskey texture.
Yeah.
And just enhancing the stout.
Yeah.
Well, it was good. I'm really torn. I did like that second one a lot, but you know me. I love chocolate. I love dessert drinks. I think the Mudslide is going to steal it from me. It was so good. But yeah, thank y'all so much for watching. That's going to do it for us. We're running just about out of time. Yeah. Thank y'all so much. We've been the Three Hamster Boys podcast. If you like what we're doing, you want to see more, check out the other episodes that we got going on, and hopefully we'll keep doing it. See y'all next time.